A pleasure to meet all at last. And so, we are at it once again with the likes of Gaming with Kaiju Force Neo, The First Impressions. This is a long-running series I've had now, as it's less than 2 years old, but the thing is, on a monthly basis at minimum, I've been getting a hold of brand new games, various titles that could very much be worth checking out for the first time. And of course, I've been making videos about these ones. Such mere examples include Astrobot, as well as Assassin's Creed Shadows, and not too long ago I did John Carpenter's Toxic Commando. But since it's April of 2026, a month after that video came out, I'm proud to present another piece known as Starfield. Yeah, so basically, Bethesda has greatly brought us the idea of space exploration in a pretty special way. But I can't quite say that it does feel very refreshing, even though it does what it can. And I will say the effort alone is pretty well met, because first off, when the game begins, you start off as a nameless individual for a mining company. Your supervisor, known as Lynn, as well as a few other colleagues that can be identified as well, show you the ropes and allow you to get acquainted with the equipment as well as what you're looking for. What you're trying to mine for are certain ores and minerals aboard some sort of planet, specifically made for the process of mining. The company whom you work for initially does allow you to get well acquainted and actually does a decent job of treating you well here. But one thing that is to be known here is that there's a certain artifact that gets found. Upon exploring a certain cavern, heading upwards, you end up mining more minerals and eventually come across this artifact in particular, which apparently, when touched, emits some kind of vision of the galaxy. At least from what I could tell. So, this unfortunately puts you unconscious for some time. But once you awaken, you explain to everybody what happens, and of course, with various dialogue trees, including questions, exclamations, jokes, and even things that are more raunchy than the usual, it seemingly is the more common side of Bethesda, knowing that their reputation has been solid with the likes of Wolfenstein and Doom. I'd say having a new piece that has to do with exploration, apart from what Hell and post-World War II Nazism has to offer, I'd say the idea of them going on a more Star Wars related sort of thing. Though I kind of feel like this is also a bit of a tangent on Destiny 2, because you're after all exploring a lot of planets and getting to meet with certain people. But all in all, the whole thing about touching an artifact and becoming some sort of chosen one here kind of makes this also attain a few affiliations with the likes of various other franchises. I could name them all, but it's a pretty big list. The chosen one factor is well present in this game just as well. And so, like I've said, I can't say it's all too refreshing because of a lot of these known cliches and pieces and plot points and character dialogue settings that I feel like has been more of a amalgamation of different things that have come out over the last few decades. But better still, it's at least good to see that they are going in a different direction. Bethesda at least does what they can in spite of being under the ownership of Microsoft. So, a couple of problems could be talked about there, but we're not here for debates or politics. Either way you look at it though, you get a customization option in which that some presets are made. All skin types, all hair types, all body types, even chin styles and facial hair. But I decided to go with a preset, make a few small tweaks, and for my in-game character's name, he's just simply known as Gil. Yeah, like Gil Gerard. The actor, you probably don't know what I'm talking about. Anyways though, there eventually comes along a point in which that a man named Barrett and his robotic assistant, known as Vag, they both touch down on the mining planet, meeting up with you and your mining colleagues, including Supervisor Lynn, and supposedly, this artifact is a lot more important than they realize. It's worth millions of credits, as it turns out. So, what does Barrett do? He volunteers to remain on the planet and allow you, the in-game player, in my case it's Gil, to go out into the stars, take his ship as well as the robot Vac with you, and go on ahead to the constellation. This is apparently some sort of group on a certain planet with a certain city known as New Atlantis. So, yeah, it's definitely not the underwater city of Atlantis, but it's an above ground city on a certain planet in the solar system. What's even more crazy is the kind of sense that they try to drive into this with the more realistic standards, implying that most of these planets that are mostly in-game or made up happen to exist in the same quadrants or the solar system that is within our own galaxy. They make a lot of mentionings of planets like Venus, Mercury, Mars, and Neptune. So, if that's not crazy enough, we could talk about the fact that there's also a lot of other things to do. There's a lot of optional pieces, including joining of certain organizations, including the Pirates, which are apparently a band of space pirates. Enough said about that. They are some of the first enemies and some of the more prominent enemies that you encounter, at least from my experiences. They at first come down to the mining planet while Barrett is trying to organize a solution, given how important the artifact is. And it's safe to say that the pirates end up becoming a recurring threat to you, mainly because of the possession of said artifact, which apparently has a few others. When you meet the constellation for the first time, and one of the members known as Sarah, along with a few others in the room, the library of New Atlantis basically is where the constellation meetings are held up. And more importantly, 3 of the same kind of artifact are now bunched together with basically Nora of the group, believing that they are connected in a way. That supposedly it's what made the one that you found in the mine so important. But basically, up until now where I'm making the video, the rest of the gameplay I've done so far tunes with myself exploring the likes of New Atlantis and even meeting up with a certain bartender around Mars. Yeah, so, like I said, the kind of blend that they try to put in with the realistic and the unrealistic, I can't exactly be sure if it's meant to be more real than what it's supposed to be, but I guess I haven't played through enough of the game to really find out what they were intending on doing here. If Bethesda really is not so good in this whole thing, then I guess it's up to you here. But the way I see it, in spite of the things that I've pointed out here, and in spite of some of the elements that are not so great with it, I do actually enjoy this game. It almost gives a refreshing note to all the things that feel repetitive or redundant, and with all the cliches I pointed out and all the elements that I've taken from other franchises and other forms of media, it seems that that's the recurring theme nowadays, where certain games happen to have inspiration from other pieces of media over the years, whether it be from Walt Disney, John Carpenter, or Steven Spielberg, such big icons in the movie making business, or when it comes to the likes of what things have been put together by the likes of Square Enix and even other Bethesda games, some of the biggest video game developers of all time. It's fair to say that Starfield is another one that I am sure is going to be well worth our time. Provided that I make it through much more of the game, I'm sure things will change. Until that happens though, my score for the likes of Starfield, as of now, is sitting at around 7.9 out of 10.1. So while it is almost awesome for what it is, I can't be sure if it's supposed to be any better than most of the media that I've referenced or other such things I've identified, considering how my gameplay so far has a lot of connections with other things. Or it rips them off. Maybe not the best way. Any other case though, make sure that we stick around for more, because I'm going to have more of these first impressions videos. And also subscribe, comment, follow me wherever you can find me, and stay on the Hollywood side. And also don't forget to like as well.